I could go into spoilers on Silent Hill 2 because I have some opinions. I have some opinions that are the reason that I like 3 more than 2. Does she mean the park by the lake? What are you talking about, James? Where's Toluca Lake relative to Vice City? Spill the tea. All right, anybody who does not want Silent Hill 2 spoiled for them, close your ears for like 5 minutes, okay? Because I have to talk about the end of the game to talk about my feelings on Silent Hill 2. All right, has everybody got their ears closed? Silent Hill 2. It's good. It's good. I'm not denying that. I'm not at all denying that the amount of love and care that went into creature design, world design, story, you know, encrypting meaning into like every single part of that game, right? I dig it. I respect it. A lot of media analysis to be like, okay, if you put a cipher into your work, if there's a secret meaning, basically, to the things that you're talking about that can be decoded, then you're a good storyteller, right? I think that that's a pretty reductive way of looking at storytelling, that you're not allowed to just have things happen for the sake of them happening. A lot of analysis of storytelling, let me say, gets reduced to what we were taught in English class, which is, well, why did they pick this color? Why did they make it a door instead of a window? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? Acting as if, in order to be a good storyteller, you have to infuse every single piece of your work with some kind of hidden meaning. And I just think that that's really, I just think that's really boring. Personally, I think it's really boring if your work can be reduced to a cipher for something else, and that's the only accepted way in like a lot of media analysis to find value in work. I think that just, you know, being able to relate to a situation that's presented, or a character, or just like thinking that something is like, oh, that's a funny thing that happened, and it not having any deeper meaning, I find that just as valuable as this person meticulously put, you know. So anyway, that's one gripe that I have with Silent Hill 2. It is one of the best examples of that type of storytelling that I can think of. Every single fucking thing in that game means something. And that's great. That's like, it is amazing that they were able to do that with such like, such a strong sense of like what they were trying to say, you know, and what they were trying to do. Like, I love that. Okay. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that because it's the one that does that the most effectively out of the first 4 games, of course it's the one that everybody loves, because that's how we're taught to analyze media. Especially in, like I said, like in English class, you know? So that's one thing. That's not the fault of the game. You know, that's just my like, well, of course everybody likes this one because it's the perfect story in that case, you know? It has the most meaning infused into every single ounce of it. Silent Hill 2 is a very, very good game. Do not get me wrong on that. It has a very good story. It's great. Okay, it's a great game. This is not me condemning the fans. This is just me saying, like, I think it's a little sus that collectively we can all agree that the good one is the one where we're sympathizing with, and I don't want to say feeling bad for, but we're trying to seek redemption for the guy who murdered his wife. You know? Like, the first one, guy's looking for his kid. That's the game. And then at the end, spoilers for Silent Hill 1 and 3 as well. Sorry, I should have said that up front. Silent Hill 1, dude is looking for his kid. Like, that's admirable, right? Like, he's like, oh my gosh, this kid, what happened? Where's my baby? And finds out there's a cult in this town. They resurrect God. He kills God. And then another baby is born. And he's like, well, I'm going to adopt this baby. That's good. That's wholesome. He's a good parent, right? Third game. Unbeknownst to you, for half the game, you play as that kid. And and the cult is coming back to like try and get you. They kill him. They kill your father like halfway through the game. And the whole story is you figuring out about like this duality that lives inside of you of like what you were born with, what you were like created from, and what's expected of you versus who you want to be. And that's like, that's good. Like that's really fucking, that's powerful, you know? And it's also, I mean, it's also a revenge story to an extent. Silent Hill 2, on the other hand, is you're a random guy who you're supposed to assume for the majority of the time is like innocent, right? Because you're just like, well, how did he get a letter from his dead wife? What's up with that? You think that she died of that damn disease, you know? The twist at the very end of the game is that you actually killed your wife and you basically gave yourself amnesia for it. Spoilers for Lost Highway as well. Lost Highway handles that in his wife dies, he finds a VHS tape of him killing his wife, goes to prison for it, and becomes a different person. Like, literally becomes a different person, different actor and everything. To the point that the prison guards are like, who the fuck is this guy? We need to let him out. Like, this guy isn't supposed to be in prison here, you know? And it's like, it's how he deals with having killed his wife. He like gives himself amnesia, essentially. Silent Hill 2 is that same story, except I would argue James is presented a lot more sympathetically. And that could be not at all the game's fault. That could just be interpretation. That could just be that people really, really dig the game as a whole, and that because they like him and how he interacts with other people in the game, he's cool or whatever. I would argue James is kind of a fucking asshole to all of the characters in the game. Honestly. Shit was confusing my 17-year-old brain. I just wanted to watch a movie with 9 Inch Nails music in it. Oh yeah, no. Lost Highway, I did not fucking understand Lost Highway at all the first couple times I watched it. But I would argue, next to Mulholland Drive, Lost Highway is actually probably his most straightforward movie. It's fucking terrible. Like, it's great. It's a really good movie. I never want to watch it again. Like, you know what I mean? Which a lot of David Lynch movies are like that for me. This may not at all be a fault of the game. Part of me questions if people get so wrapped up in the cipher that is Silent Hill 2. You know, figuring out like what all the symbolism means and everything, and just appreciating it on that level, that they don't consider that the way he treats everybody in the game, Maria, Mary, what is her name? What's her name? The woman who's suicidal constantly. And Eddie, and the little girl too. I can't remember her name either. Like, he's perpetually a dick to everyone. And so part of me is like, okay, maybe this is like a Walter White situation where people don't consider that James is the protagonist. That doesn't mean he's the good guy. Or I guess I should say he's the main character. That doesn't mean he's the protagonist, right? I don't know. It's just, it works exceptionally well on so many levels. It's just that I really fucking hate James, and I can't separate that from it. That like the whole game is one guy's internal struggle to come to terms with doing the worst fucking possible thing that he could have done to his spouse. Like, and depending on what ending you get, he comes to terms with it in a different way, right? Which, again, you could interpret that as there's no right way to come to terms with that. There's no right way to feel about that, you know? I don't know. It's just, I guess it just always irks me because James is just so perennially unlikable to me. You know, that's it. That's PD Soapbox hours for today. Silent Hill 3 is a shockingly deep, personal exploration of the expectations that are put on you versus self-actualization. And I don't think it gets anywhere near the respect that it deserves, because it is a much more straightforward story. It's, yes, the monsters that you fight as Heather do have those like cipher-like meanings that a lot of the ones that James fights, you know, that element of it is still present, but it's so much less abstract. It's just girl bossing your way to self-actualization. And I fucking love it for that. And, you know, those are my opinions. Tell me in chat, what do you think? What are y'all's favorites? What do you think? Why do you love them? Let me know here. And if you're watching this YouTube VOD at some point, let me know as well. I don't know where to go from that. I think I've been stewing on that opinion for like 10 years.